Welcome to In My Own Words, a Nathan Williams production. I am Nathan Williams, and this is episode 3. So, because I haven't uploaded in damn near a month, let's monologue a little bit. I was told by people who are close to me to not ramble, but I'm going to cheat that this episode only, going forward, I'm gonna ramble because again, haven't uploaded in a month. So a lot of crap has happened. A lot of crap has happened since December. What was the upload date? 28th. Where the hell have I been? I have become a traveling man. I went to New Orleans for the first time in like 3 years. I went to Atlanta for the first time ever in the first 2 weekends of the year. This is significant. We are now in January, the new year, obviously. For those that don't know, I'm a Saints fan. I went to the last 2 games of the season, and they shouldn't have been the last 2 games of the season, but the Rams are frauds. And they're still frauds, because when I'm recording this, we're going into conference championship weekend, just an FYI. If you keep up with my Instagram, I posted more about my vacation spots on my story. A little bit more about Atlanta than New Orleans, I guess, but you know, it is what it is. You can check out my website. I did a game day comparison kind of blog thing because I wasn't going to do it, but I was really, really bored on that Atlanta flight back home. You can check that out on the website. It is in my Instagram blog, as I always send you guys over to my Instagram. So since that Atlanta trip, I have been back for about 2 weeks, tired. I literally went right back to work after coming back. My work schedule, let's be honest, has kicked my ass, as it has for anybody who works in retail right after the holidays are over. Literally everybody is trying to bring back every damn thing. Half the crap that they bought, they thinking they Thanos, bringing half the crap back. A lot of returns, a lot of that stuff. When I came back, it was a little bit slower, but the work schedule itself, me having to get out of bed and having to drive and commuting and going to work and then back and repeating that process 4 more times is ridiculous. I didn't give myself enough time a day to recover from different time zones and all that. I also didn't want to burn myself out coming back and doing this. So I was waiting for myself to get back in a workflow first, like a revenue workflow, before I even wrote episode 3 here. Now, this episode is a little later than I wanted it to be. In addition to trying to get a workflow back, by the time I felt good about it, I was starting to write this episode. I got into a little car accident the day that I was going to wrap up writing and actually record this and film it on my camera. Some old guy, let me choose my words wisely. Some old guy bumped me at the red light in front of Cy Ranch High School, for those that are familiar with this side of town. I was heading to the gas station right there, the Shell gas station, and I was plotting in my head what I was going to do for the rest of the day, and all of a sudden I just get a bump in the back of the car. It wasn't bad. It literally was just a bump. But I felt the effects. Not in that moment. I was practically shaken, not stirred. But in that moment, I was just like, damn, that just happened. I laughed it off. The old guy laughed it off. He's okay. I'm okay. Car's okay. All that. I didn't really feel the actual impact of it till the next day. And I had to work the next day, so I had to call out and all that. So while I'm at home with a headache and like my neck bothering me and sensitivity to light, if you're watching this, if I manage to upload the actual YouTube video this time for this episode, I have 2 lights that I use whenever I record for the camera because I'm black, I'm dark, and I have my window open. So there's a lot of light in this room. I already have light sensitivities, so this is enough for me as it is. This took years to manage. So, but when I was like driving around, like driving home, the sun itself was kicking my ass, and I had to just turn off everything, even my LEDs, and I was just in the dark watching football the whole weekend. So it was cool, but it wasn't cool at the same time. I decided, with work being as crazy as it was, and this light sensitivity, that week, I just decided to just hang back for the weekend and just chill. So while I did promise content, it didn't happen that way. Life is about challenges and adapting to change. Good little segue. Good little segue into what this is. So, the question, why this topic? I mean, you see the title, you see what I'm about to talk about. For the last few weeks, more or less, I have been reflecting on this little thing called life. All right. Since I recorded the last episode a month ago, I have hung out with some friends. Matter of fact, the last episode was motivation from hanging out with said friends as well. But it's still, that visit and those stuff like that was still, to me, it still had an impact on me. It had me thinking when I was in New Orleans and when I was in Atlanta and when I was at work. I had some downtime and I was just thinking and reflecting on my life. Over text, when you hang out with people, essentially, you see the change. Over text, you don't. And everybody posts on Instagram and all that bullshit with all the highlight reels and all that. It's not the same. But when you see an actual person, you can see the changes that have occurred. Over text, you don't really see that. Friends are getting older. They're getting married. They're getting degrees. They're getting a dream job. Shit, they're finding a house. A lot of y'all are finding houses. I don't see how y'all doing that right now. Your brain starts to compare their life to yours. You really start going down that rabbit hole with your own life. Am I doing enough? Am I lost? Did I not make the right decision? I'm going to be honest with you. The one thing that I've been thinking about since getting that degree that's on my wall, should I have taken a year off with the pandemic? Should I have allowed myself to have a legitimate college experience? And I go back and forth on that answer. I talk to my dad and my family about that all the time, about what the hell was going on in my head. Was it just finishing? Was it just finishing on time? You find yourself going into this rabbit hole and it's unhealthy. It's a very unhealthy process. But that's what your brain does, and it's weird. Change is really hard to comprehend because it's something that we humans have to do. Change is human. You need to change in order to be the better version of yourself. Everybody wants things to essentially stay the same. That is impossible. Comfortability, especially in our world, in our society, is really hard. Everybody wants change all the time. Side note, I consider myself the man with a plan, and amongst friends, if you are watching, again, I'm going to go back to that. If I did upload this to YouTube, because I'm trying to get that done, I have a video that I'm going to do, and eventually I want to be able to do these things live once I get all my thoughts together, because in my head right now, it's just a lot of thoughts just going and going and going. But if you could look to my left in the YouTube video, I have a frame up here of all the people that I guess you could say I care about. Essentially, these are pictures of memories I've had for over the last 4 years that I put together, more or less. People I care about, and there will be more. I intend on getting a bigger frame because there's a lot of pictures that I want to print out, and there's a lot of pictures I want to put up here. But all these things here, I am the man with the plan, and most of these things were planned out probably by me or by somebody else. What I've learned is that every perfect plan is ruined by unexpected or overlooked variables. What do I mean when I say variables? People. People are variables. It's hard to plan around other people's schedule. It's hard to plan around things that you don't really expect, things that blindside you. Sometimes it's people's schedules, sometimes it's people's appetites. Sometimes these days it's more COVID than anything. That's ridiculous. We're damn near 2 years into this pandemic. But all in all, I mean, there are things that just impact you as a planner, and you need to be able to adapt to the changes that sort of happens. and it sucks. I've kind of taught myself the last few months, year and a half. I always think we're in 2020. We're not in 2020 anymore. Since the pandemic had begun, I have pushed myself to not be comfortable anymore. Essentially, to be able to change in an instant, in the blink of an eye. Our lives literally change. I don't even, you can't even go with the hypothetical anymore. All the hypotheticals that your favorite teacher probably told you about life just could change in an instant. It literally did for all of us. Our daily lives can and have changed in the blink of an eye. You know, you need to be able to plan ahead of it, plan for the worst. That's what I've done. Without overthinking, I've allowed myself to plan for the absolute worst in situations. It's never bad to have a plan B or plan C when it comes down to life and decisions and stuff like that. It's, I'll be honest, it's one of the hardest lessons to teach yourself, but it is something to learn and grow from, because you don't want to get caught off guard and stuck in a situation that's hard to get out of. I don't know. That's it again. That's a very hard lesson. That's a lesson that each one of us is going to have to face eventually. With whatever decision. Now, I'm not saying live your life not taking risks, because you do need to take a few risks every now and again in order to figure out what is good for you, what do you want to do, etc., etc. But like, you know, always have a plan B in case shit hits the fan, because that's rough. That's rough. Again, it's a hard lesson to learn. I have this on my script. What do you want to change in your life? And I guess this is an open-ended question, or I just forgot about that question. But I guess if I had to go back and change something, I wish I could have made decisions faster. Opportunities are so hard to. It's so easy to turn an opportunity down. I guess that's what I want to say. You know, they're gone as fast as they come. And there were things that I wish I could go back and redo to change. Things I wish I could change based on the outcome of how, the end result of things. I'm not sure I would be the person I would be if I went back and did that, though. And that's the real caveat of this. You have to live with your decision, or be in a position to change your decision, whatever happens. You in life, you have to make decisions. And if you are in a position to change them, you should change them. Or live with them, or just talk to someone. Honestly, there's so much that can change in the blink of an eye. Consider everything prior to stepping forward, making that leap of faith. And at the end of the day, you can just make the leap of faith and just go through with it. Be adaptable, especially adaptivity. You need to be adaptable when it comes to this life, especially now. I mean, you could, like, say you buy tickets to the rodeo. The rodeo could get canceled today. Are you gonna take that well? Is that thought in the back of your mind? You need to be adaptable. You don't want to be down every time something happens that's out of your control. And that's a big one. Definitely don't overreact when it comes down to things that are out of your control. Or things that you may have overlooked, or things that just sprouted up, because it's not your fault. I think these days, we're better. My generation is better about accepting things for what they are, because of what we essentially look at ourselves as powerless. That's not necessarily true. I think we're just misinformed, and don't realize the value of what we have, our voice, the social media, etc. I believe we could be better in that department, but it really just depends on each individual person. How far do they really want to go when it comes to demanding change? allowing change to happen. But when it comes to things that are out of our control, I think we have done a great job of just being able to just brush ourselves off and just essentially just go with whatever flow we're feeling at that moment. And I think that's admirable, especially for future generations. We should be able to change in an instant, adapt to what's going on around us. So, but honestly, that's all I have with this episode of it. This felt short. This feels shorter than the last time because I guess all my thoughts are right here now. I had a lot of time to think about this one. I wanted to make sure whatever I was saying made sense. I'm super critical about what I have to say. Very, very selective. And one more thing that I left off. Another reason why I kind of took a moment's break is because I've actually been trying to promote this podcast off social media in person. Because relationships in person still matter, not just over text and not just over Facebook and Instagram and all that crap. It matters to put yourself out there in person, actual conversation, face to face or mask to mask, whatever the situation is at the moment. But essentially, I have more of a following now than I did the last time an episode was posted to whatever podcast listening service you're listening to right now. I've been trying to put myself out there. So for all my new listeners, hello, greeting. And majority of you are probably from work. There will not be a work episode until I leave that place. I'm just letting y'all know that now. Do not come on here and be waiting for me to say anything bad about Redacted, because people don't even know why I work right now. I do a great job of hiding why I work. People don't find out until I'm already gone. So let's not put that out there right now. Not yet. Damn, I've been thinking about I really have been thinking about a work episode. I mean, there's places that I've worked that I have one to talk about. Matter of fact, this topic. See, there goes the rambling. This topic actually was inspired by a visit that I had when I was off as well. So those who know or who have followed me for a long time knew I worked at the AMC on Highway 6. I can talk about it now because I'm not there. That place closed the day after Christmas. They were showing Spider-Man and they got a little bit more. They got a lot of money off of that. They ended up closing. I don't think I'm at liberty to speak why, but a lot of businesses on Highway 6 have closed on the west side of Houston. A lot of places have closed because of various reasons, lack of business, lack of revenue, rent doubling, all that type of crap that happens in a pandemic. And for the places that survived Harvey, because Harvey ravaged that area pretty bad as well, the places that did remain open are probably closed now because of the pandemic. So in this case with AMC in that location, they're closed now. They just closed. I made a stop over there after church when I went to church right after the ball drop, and I saw some employees. They were in there cleaning up. There were people I worked with, and we were just talking. I just took one last look in that lobby. I was very much so a resident in that lobby. I was the guy who used to rip the tickets in there. I saw everybody, damn near everybody who didn't sneak in. And if I saw the people that did sneak in, it was probably because I was kicking their ass out. Chasing them down the hallways. That was very fun. That was very fulfilling. Yeah, I lost a lot of weight when I was working at that theater. Anyway, point is, I was taken aback by how empty that place looked and how empty it probably looks right now after visiting there like a week ago. But it's crazy. It's crazy to me how much change can happen. I mean, I was just there in 2019. That was almost it was 2 years ago, and now it's closed. Change is human. It's natural. It's in our lives. You just have to be able to take in the change, adapt to it, and make things work out for you. So I wish all those people who were working at that theater good luck, because there were employees that were still there, and now they gotta go find either a different job or go transfer to another location or whatever the case is. You know, they have to figure it out. But essentially they have to brush themselves off and move forward, take a leap of faith. I wish them the best. And even if you're going through something right now where you have change in your life, I wish you the best. And letting you know my DMs are always open. We can have a conversation about, about what you're going through. I can give you advice on what's happening. Or if you're seeking advice from me, I could try to help you out as best as I can. Because I don't know, life is hard. It is. This isn't easy. It's not easy at all. You just have to adapt to what is happening. Have a meaningful conversation. I think that's the biggest thing as well. Knowing that you do have a support group around you, or if you don't, you have me as well. So, that's important. I hate to end it off a somber note like that, but change is hard. I'm just glad to get episode 3 out because that, I had to adapt to so many different things thrown at me this week and just exhaustion as well. I took a few minutes just to, quiet the house down, let Lena chill out a bit and just record because it's a message that needs to be said. That's kind of the point of this podcast. There are stories that need to be told here, and I intend on telling them. Hey, let's do me a favor. I'm not gonna end it off a bad note like this. I'm gonna post on my Instagram right when this episode is posted. I'm gonna do a questionnaire. If you did listen to the end, towards the end, it shows me whether you do or not. But if you did listen towards the end, I'm gonna be asking for topics to discuss. And eventually I want to get good at this to where I can have guests come on. I've seen the guest forums. It's pretty full. Y'all really been killing it. But I want to also discuss things even without a guest coming on. So, let me know. You can, if you're on Spotify, I think there's a poll that I'm going to add on here. If you follow me on Instagram, which you should at this point, you could also pitch in. I definitely want to have meaningful conversations. That's the whole point of this podcast. Just tell the stories that need to be told in my own words. And yeah, that's all I have today. So for myself, I'm Nathan Williams. This is In My Own Words. See y'all around.